Russia can now attack you on your doorstep. Now don't panic, because it's not an attack with guns and violence, but on your computer, documents, identity, and finances. In other words, as US President Joe Biden said, Russia can retaliate through a massive cyber attack. So, how fearful should you be, and what precautions should be taken? And also, why would Russia do such a heinous thing just for revenge? Welcome to Warzone. If you don't want to miss out on any new political news, conflicts, battles, or anything else related to politics, then subscribe to our channel and hit the bell button so that you will always be notified. President Joe Biden of the United States has issued an urgent warning about a rising Russian cyber threat against U.S. firms. According to U.S. intelligence, Moscow is stepping up its attempts to launch cyber attacks against the U.S. On Monday, U.S. President Joe Biden issued a strict warning, saying that new evidence indicates Russia is considering alternatives for cyber attacks against U.S. sites. This is a vital opportunity to accelerate our work to strengthen domestic cybersecurity and bolster our national resilience, Joe Biden stated in his speech. I previously warned about the possibility of Russia engaging in hostile cyber operations against the U.S., including as retaliation for the tremendous economic penalties we've placed on Russia with our friends and partners. It's all part of Russia's game plan. My administration is renewing those concerns today based on new data that the Russian government is considering hacking possibilities. This is in response to Western sanctions placed on Moscow as a result of the Ukraine conflict. Moscow's cyber attacks, which have been rather restricted so far, will likely grow more aggressive if the country's economic conditions deteriorate, according to Dr. Ivana Startner, an advisor to the Foundation for the Defense of Democracy, especially because Russian President Vladimir Putin called the sanctions a war crime. The actual question we should be asking ourselves is how it would benefit Russia. Because the Russian military is well known for its hybrid warfare, which involves not only kinetic but also cybersecurity technologies, and considering that Russia is quite unlikely to employ kinetic force against the US, Russia has a fantastic opportunity to respond in cyberspace without making any blunders. Russia is unquestionably a cyber powerhouse, and it places a premium on information security. It has demonstrated that it is capable of launching powerful cyber attacks. And how well prepared is the US for a Russian cyber attack? The US is unquestionably one of the world's most powerful cybersecurity nations, and there are many things we need to do right now, according to Biden. The first is that, according to Biden, banks and other financial organizations may be in danger. No one knows exactly how this will affect Americans, but Homeland Security should surely offer very explicit guidelines on basic hyper-hygiene. To utilize a VPN system, people in the US only need to have very clear standards about upgrading software, using strong passwords, and thinking numerous times before clicking on any link. So it was one of the things we had to accomplish. To avoid service disruptions in Europe, Italy's public sector will be forced to replace the Russian antivirus software Kaspersky. In the wake of Russia's threats against the EU and NATO, Germany's cyber watchdog the BSI recently issued a warning against using Kaspersky. The fear is that the Russian government will put pressure on the Moscow-based company to carry out cyber attacks, which Kaspersky has so far denied. Even during the invasion in 2014, there was a well-publicized cyber attack in France, for example. What does this imply? It means that Russia will undoubtedly use every instrument at its disposal to weaponize the internet to destabilize Europe and the Penumbra ally structures as a result of the events in Ukraine. Meanwhile, there is a danger that hacktivists who have joined both sides of the cyber battle might accidentally provoke escalation or be used as vigilantes by a state actor. Anonymous, for example, has claimed responsibility for cyber attacks carried out within Russia. So far, these attacks have resulted in interruptions and embarrassments, such as the broadcasting of the Ukrainian national anthem on Russian television and so on. Experts, on the other hand, feel that if they get out of hand, they may cause extensive damage. There is no room for doubt that Vladimir Putin believes that the majority of those hacktivists are working on behalf of various Western countries. In the instance of cyber retribution, he can use it as a pretext for escalation further in cyberspace, even though it would be counterproductive. Regardless, Biden emphasized the significance of corporate leaders beefing up their cybersecurity to assist avoid or reducing the harm of any Russian strikes. Addressing business executives, Biden stated, "You have the power, the ability, and the obligation to boost the cybersecurity and resilience of the vital services and technology on which Americans rely." To that aim, the White House issued a fact sheet on Monday outlining actions businesses can take to strengthen their cybersecurity, including requiring multi-factor authentication, encrypting data, guaranteeing offline data backups, and training staff on common hacking techniques. If you haven't already done so, Biden added, I urge our private sector partners to immediately enhance their cyber defenses by applying the best practices we've created together over the previous year. Biden said his administration had worked to bolster national cyber defenses since entering office, including mandating comprehensive cybersecurity measures for the federal government and those vital infrastructure sectors where we have jurisdiction. However, the White House warned on Monday that a Russian hack might target private enterprises to hurt the U.S. economy, which is why Biden asked CEOs to take extra security safeguards. According to CNN, the U.S. Departments of Energy, Treasury, and Homeland Security have been educating banks, electric utility companies, and others on Russia's cyber capabilities in recent weeks, and have asked firms across all sectors to report any suspicious behavior. It would not be the first time in recent memory that Eastern European hackers have targeted U.S. infrastructure. However, if Russia were to launch a cyber attack on the U.S., its goals would most certainly vary from those of DarkSide last year. Since mid-February, Russia has been undertaking cyber attacks in Ukraine, including attacks on the Defense Ministry and Armory websites, as well as the websites of the country's main banks. Aside from cyber attacks, the Russian assault on the ground in Ukraine is also ongoing. Ukraine has rejected Russia's ultimatum that Mariupol is surrounded by Monday. Irina Vereshchuk, Ukraine's deputy prime minister, said there could be no mention of any surrenders and that Russia had been notified of the reaction. Lay down your arms, Russian Colonel General Mikhail Minzentsev had instructed the city's defenders. In a Sunday briefing, Putin said that if the inhabitants of Mariupol surrendered, humanitarian corridors would be established in both the eastern and western routes on Monday. The White House has announced that U.S. President Joe Biden would visit Poland this week to discuss international efforts to help Ukraine and impose severe and unprecedented consequences on Russia for its aggression. Following Biden's talks with NATO allies, G7 leaders and EU leaders in Brussels, the discussions will take place. On Monday, Biden will hold a conference call with French President Emmanuel Macron, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, Italian Prime Minister Mario Draghi, and British Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky has stated that failing to reach an agreement to cease Russia's invasion will result in a third global war. He told CNN that he is ready for conversations with Russian President Vladimir Putin and that we have to use every forum, any occasion to negotiate. Putin's policy was previously described by Zelensky as a final solution for Ukraine. Ukraine's president chastised Israel for failing to put sanctions on Russia in a fiery speech to Israel's Knesset. According to Reuters, the shelling of residences and a retail center in Kyiv had killed at least 4 people, according to the state emergency service. Firefighters rushed to the Retroville retail center in Podolsky to rescue those trapped under the wreckage. Lyudmila Denisova, Ukraine's human rights spokeswoman, said Russian forces had kidnapped civilians and brought them to Russia. She added on Telegram that thousands of Mariupol inhabitants had been deported to Russia. Some had been taken to the Russian city of Taganrog, some 60 miles from Mariupol, after being processed in filter camps and then dispatched by rail to other economically disadvantaged areas in Russia, she claimed. Russia struck an art school where 400 people, including children, were refugees, according to Mariupol's municipal council. According to Petro Andrushenko, a city advisor, the number of casualties remains unknown. Has suggested that a peace accord between Russia and Ukraine is near. However, the U.S. envoy to the United Nations said on Sunday that a negotiated conclusion to the conflict was unlikely shortly. According to Zelensky, 11 Ukrainian political groups have been suspended because of their ties to Russia. The country's National Security and Defense Council decided to prohibit the parties from participating in any political activities. The majority of the impacted groups were minor, but one of them, the opposition Platform for Life, has 44 representatives in Ukraine's 450-seat parliament. As you can see, even with a collective effort from the US and NATO allies, Russia's aggression seems to be indomitable. Looks like Putin would go to any length to win the war, even if the whole world stands against him. Naturally, followed by the weaponry invasion at Ukraine, fear of massive cyber attack on the West or US is coiling up from here. Alright everyone, this brings us to the end of our video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Until then, take care, and we will be back with another video.